Hi, I'm Fenella, and today we are going to be making a ganache filled dark chocolate roll, and the ingredients that we'll need are 5 eggs separated, so we've got our 5 yolks here, and we have 5 egg whites here. Now make sure that you don't get any of the yolk in with the whites, otherwise it's just not going to beat up as well as we'd like. Okay, and we will need 140 grams, that's 4.5 ounces of caster sugar, 225 grams, that's 7 ounces of good quality dark chocolate. I'm using Whittaker's Dark Ghana 72% cocoa chocolate. It's a local company to New Zealand, but just use the best quality dark chocolate that you can get. We've also got 75 mils of warm water. We'll need a bowl, our mixer, a pot, and we have our 20 centimetre by 30 centimetre, that's 8 inches by 12 inch baking tin, non-stick is best, that we have lined with baking paper and then sprinkled just a little bit of caster sugar on the inside. So the first thing that we're going to need to do today is to put our oven on, to preheat the oven. Now it's a reasonably warm heat, 200 degrees Celsius, that is 400 degrees Fahrenheit or gas mark 6, and make sure that your oven tray is in the centre. Okay, so now we will need to combine our egg yolks and our caster sugar. We'll need to mix them, so you'll need your hand mixer. I've put the yolks and the caster sugar into this big glass bowl, and it's going to get very noisy. Start off slow, just to mix it, get it all mixed in together. Otherwise, if you put it in there on full speed, you could wear half of the caster sugar, and I'm an expert in that. Now you really want to mix these until the yolks and the sugar are really light and fluffy. Alright, that looks beautiful. Nice and creamy and light. And we'll just be putting this aside as well. So put that there. The next thing we need to do is we need to melt our chocolate with our warm water in a pot on the stove. We'll get our pot, water, chocolate in. That onto the stove on a gentle heat just to start melting. Okay, so while our chocolate is melting on the stove with the water, and we've got to keep a close eye on it, remembering to stir it just to make sure that it's not burning and that it's melting nicely, we're actually going to put our egg whites into the mixer and start beating them. Alright, I have my food processor here that has a whisk attachment, and I'll just be using that, but otherwise you could use your hand beaters. Again, just make sure that the beaters are nice and clean and dry. You don't want any leftover yolk on them or any water, otherwise your whites are not going to fluff up the way you want them to. Okay, and here we go. So let's check how those are going. You want them to form fairly stiff peaks, so I'll just get a spoon here and perfect. Okay, so we'll just put them aside because we are going to need our chocolate to finish melting first. It's looking really lovely and glossy, and the smell is fantastic. Alright, our chocolate has melted, and it's quite thick consistency, but it's nice and glossy, so perfect. Okay, we will need our egg yolks and caster sugar that we beat earlier, and we're just going to combine the two of those. So you want to fold that together until they're just incorporated. Beautiful. That looks divine. Now we are going to need to get our egg whites, and we're going to start off with just 1 spoonful of the whites into our chocolate mixture just to loosen it up. Okay, now it's a little bit rough with that first lot, but the next bit you put in you need to be reasonably gentle with. Very, very gently together. We don't want to lose any of the air, otherwise we're going to have a brick rather than a sponge roll. And we've still got plenty of air in there, so that's good. Lovely. Now we are just going to put the mixture into our pre-prepared tin. Make sure it's all nicely spread around the tin, nice and flat surface on the top. Now we're just going to pop that into the oven and we're going to bake it for 12 to 15 minutes. Be careful when you put it into the oven not to bang it down. You want to just gently slide it into the oven, otherwise you'll knock all of the air out of it. So I'll set our timer for 12 minutes. Okay, gently pull it out and see if it springs back. I'll pass that test. I'm not 100% convinced, so I'm just going to grab a knife and pop that into the centre. Perfect. Now don't worry too much if a few bits break off. It is genuinely not the end of the world because you're going to have your lovely ganache. Now what we need to do is we will pop a tea towel, I have my tea towel here, over the top of that to keep it moist, and we will let it cool a bit before we put our ganache on. Okay, now that our chocolate sponge has cooled off a little bit, we're going to put the ganache in the centre and roll it and then decorate it. So I had some ganache that I had prepared earlier and kept in the fridge. I popped about 1.5 cups of it into my food processor with the whisk attachments and beat it on a reasonably high speed for a few minutes until it went really light and fluffy. I put the other 1/2 cup of ganache that I had into the microwave just to soften it. We want it to be really liquid. Okay, now that our cake has cooled, we are going to fill it and dress it. So I have some whipped ganache here. I had 1.5 cups of ganache that I popped into my mixer with the whisk attachment and just left it on a medium speed, beating for about 5 minutes, give or take, depending on how warm the ganache is when you put it in there. Just keep an eye on it, and it should come out very mousse-like. So I've got that all ready. Now I had intended to use the other 1/2 cup of ganache that I had left over to pour over the top of the finished product. Unfortunately, I got distracted and overheated it, and it went very clumpy and unusable. Not unedible, but certainly unusable for this. Smother 2/3 of our cake with the ganache. Not going completely to the edges because otherwise you're going to have it all kind of squish out the sides, and that's not really what you want. And you want to leave 1/3 ganache free. Now, here's the tricky part that always makes me nervous. Gooey. Just a little bit more ganache in there. Just going to pick it up, the last bit, and just roll it onto my platter. We're just going to coat the outside. This is a really, really simple chocolate log. It's not hard. It looks quite tricky when you're rolling it out, but as I said, it really doesn't matter with having the ganache to cover up any little whoopsies. Now this can be kept in the fridge, which mine will be until tomorrow morning, but I will take it out of the fridge probably an hour or so before I'm going to serve it, just to let it come up to room temperature. Before I serve it, I will just slice off the ends with a clean knife so that you get that lovely spiral effect. At the moment all the edges are quite soft, or you can ganache the ends. There you have it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this recipe, and I hope you enjoy eating your chocolate roll. I know I'm going to. Bye bye.